Simtak, let me come to you first. Is the loss of territory for Russians in occupied Ukraine very significant? Is this actually a tactical withdrawal, as some Russian sources have indicated, or do you believe that the Russians are essentially fleeing from these areas?
I think that what we might be looking at this point in some locations might include some aspects of tactical withdrawal, but it certainly didn't start that way. And the full extent of these Ukrainian advances certainly aren't explained that way. As we know from Ukrainian contacts, from open source work, we know that the Ukrainian forces have effectively been very good at exploiting gaps between the Russian positions in this area, using small units, operating them in a very mobile way, harassing Russian forces in a lot of different places simultaneously, which eventually led to the collapse of the Russian offensive in this area. And that essentially has caused the Russians to start to flee in an unorganized manner. We are seeing a lot of equipment left behind, as you mentioned. But of course, as a result of that, Russia will also take some of those forces that are still in a good shape in the area and try to shift them to other locations to try and install a new defensive line, trading space, giving up some additional space to gain more time to set up that new defensive line.
Similar to what the Ukrainians did, Sim, a couple of months back. They traded space for time, and this is their time to regain that space, I would argue.
Exactly. I think you're absolutely right. I think one of the important differences between the situation Ukraine was in back then and what Russia is facing now is that these Russian forces have been under a lot of pressure for a very long time. And that has been the Ukrainian strategy, to force attrition on the Russian forces, attrition in personnel, in equipment, to make them endure harsh conditions and weaken them more and more over time until the point that they became this weak.